Thank you all so much for being here today. Hello and welcome. My name is Libby vanBuskirk. I am a customer success principal here at Citrine Informatics. My role is to work with a number of our customers to help them get the most out of using the Citrine platform. I am delighted to introduce Dr. Mojdeh Rastgoo, R&D Digital Product Project Leader at Saint-Gobain. Mojdeh has had tremendous success in growing the use of the Citrine platform since the start of 2024. Now, over 18 months later, they have 180 users across Saint-Gobain and widespread adoption using across multiple continents. As so many companies begin to integrate AI into their organization, competitive advantage comes not from whether your team is using AI, but how quickly you can roll it out and how effectively can you use it to increase R&D efficiency. So it is really great to have Mojdeh here today to talk about her experience. Please do remember to put any questions you have in the Q&A. It's just down below. We will have time at the end of our discussion for any questions. Okay, so let's get started. Mojdeh, tell us about yourself and how you came to work with Citrine.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm really glad to be here and doing this webinar with Libby. I started as a project leader on what we call internally a smart testing platform project in Saint-Gobain, beginning of 2024. And by then we have established that we are interested to work with Citrine Informatics as a partner. And yes, we have started to using Citrine Informatics to scale and bring it to the hand of our users in Saint-Gobain from the beginning of 2024. And I'm really glad to say that this year we have onboarded 34 projects across 22 entities, which is great in our opinion.
That's amazing. Okay. And thinking back, were there any initial challenges or skepticism around using AI in Saint-Gobain?
Sure, I think AI comes with own challenges. So the whole black box model and not being able to understand it, it's obviously there. I have a background in data science and computer science. So for us, we have some tools in our hand that we can explain the model and have some explainability. However, it is very important when we are in this journey to explain what is the prediction, what is driving the prediction of our model, what is actually driving our decisions using AI. So it requires a lot of training, a lot of explainability, and most of the time, in my experience, actually, what we see, it relies in our data. So we come to the conclusion, we look at our data and we see that, okay, what we are actually seeing is because we have this pattern in our data. And Citrine platforms allows us to actually go back and do this back and forth to understand what drives the behavior of our AI model and at the end, the candidates that we are using for our next experiment.
Okay, so identifying the patterns in the data that you have, and you're kind of looking back and forth between what the Citrine platform is helping you uncover, but also what you already have seen historically.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, interesting. How did you select the initial use cases to get started with?
So I believe we have started with 2 use cases, and we selected, we use actually the project assessment. We did that with you and your team, Libby. So yeah, we did with the project assessment, we assessed the project, the maturity of it, the data, the technical aspect, the readiness, the engagement of the business. And we make sure that the project has impact, is important for the business. So we have the support of the business, support of our project leader, and as well, we make sure that, okay, we have some data to start the project. So I think these were the criteria that we selected our 2 first projects. And I can say that it was really important to do the project assessment and make sure that we have a team which is engaged and is ready to be onboarded on this journey and use this tool.
Awesome. Okay. What strategies helped you to get enthusiastic buy-in from R&D teams across Europe, the Americas, and Asia?
We try several strategies. Obviously, I think one important thing actually is to show the value early on. So if we can show that we can create value, that's really great. And the stakeholders will be interested to use our proposal and our strategy and approach. So that's the first thing. And second, so we started with one-on-one meeting with the stakeholders, decision makers, and at the same time, we decided to organize workshops to onboard users and show them in person how to use the platform. And we organized workshops across several regions, and this is our plan to do so more even. So, and this has been a learning for us as well. We started with one approach, but we were adaptable and quickly decided, okay, maybe we should try also another approach in order to reach the users as well as the stakeholders.
What was that first approach that you kind of abandoned?
It's not abandoned. We are still doing that, but I would say that we started with one-to-one meetings with R&D directors. But after a couple of months, we decided to organize workshops for users as well. I think today we are continuing both of them in parallel. So we did, both of them are useful and trying to reach the different audience.
Gotcha. So you're both working with at the leadership level within R&D, but you're also then building the adoption, the understanding of how to actually use the platform at the user level too.
Yes.
Workshops. Okay.
Yeah,
got it. Okay. What advice would you give other organizations that are trying to roll out AI platforms broadly across global teams?
I think the first thing I would say is that this is not a one-person job. So from early on, we designed support for our distributed center of competency or our coordinators across different regions, because we wanted to we have coordinators to help the business and have proximity to business in different regions. So think about it that you need a team internally to actually help scale the projects and how to use the projects and also educate people along the way. So that's very important. Obviously, selecting the right partner is important because early adoption, when we were all in earlier stage to adopt actually at a scale, we needed to have the support and from Citrine Informatics. So having a partner which is available is very important to give you that support when you are scaling a project internally. And I would say showing the value and project assessment as well it will be the third axe that I would say is important considering when scaling through the large companies such as ours.
Okay, got it. What makes a good AI partner? What do you look for when you're selecting that?
So trust, transparency, availability, I would say. Obviously, we are looking to upskill our competencies as well. So having a partner which is technologically advanced is important for us because we want to upskill our skills as well. And when we are using any platform, security of it is that's really important as well.
Yeah, the data is so important. It's gold. So. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. Okay. In your view, what are the main barriers to AI adoption in the materials and chemicals industry? Is it technical? Is it organizational? Is it regulatory? Is there something else out there?
So I think there is a bit of a skepticism towards AI. Obviously, that's there. That being said, I think one of the biggest barrier is the fragmented data or semi-structured or unstructured data. So for instance, in R&D, especially when we are looking to material science and material development, the data is there, but maybe is not as structured or is not ready to be used for with AI applications or with AI tools. And that's I would say the first barrier. And I would say as well, for instance, when I look at what we do in Saint-Gobain, we are interested to the final product. And when we are looking at the final product, there are several parts. So we start with R&D and material development and product development. However, going from lab to plant is another story. And then we have also marketing team. Then, there are several parties involved, maybe design team, until we get to the final product. So I think this is obviously challenging and complex to solve. And maybe one day we can have all of this connected, and data is really the link between all of them. Yeah. But yeah, that's also another complexity when I'm looking at the big picture.
Yeah, so the data is at times fragmented or scattered, making sure that you have access to it. And then also the data that exists at kind of every stage of the kind of the pipeline. Okay, and within the different organizations as well, across Saint-Gobain or across your industry, across your company. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Um, what new skill sets will scientists and research engineers need to thrive in an environment that is enhanced by AI?
I think first we need to be open to change and look at AI like any other tool that we are so used to use today. So we use Google. I mean, we used to use Google maybe for search. We use Excel everywhere. So AI is a tool and we should use it to our advantage. And it's just the beginning. Maybe we are uncomfortable with it, but it's just here to stay. So we should get comfortable and be open to change. That's the first, I would say. Second is that when we are collecting our data, think about collecting the data with a mindset that, okay, this data, we want to be used for other application, having machine learning and AI in mind. Because most of the time when we are collecting our data, is not on purpose, but we are not conscious about that this information can be useful. Because if I'm talking to my colleague, I assume that he or she knows about that, okay, this information. However, when we want to use it with machine learning or AI, we need to collect our data differently. And I can see this happening even when we are writing scientific papers now. For instance, we consider that, okay, this table might be read by LLM or large language models. So think about when we are collecting our data, thinking about that, okay, having an AI mindset in mind, that's really important. And then I would say that use it to our advantage, let's try to use it to our advantage. And for instance, what I have seen and within the projects that we have achieved target, our scientists are not only taking the solution that is proposed just by say, okay, this is the solution, I'm going to go and try it. They are questioning, they're challenging it, they're trying to understand it. And that's where actually we can see, and we see that we are making a real improvement and we are going even a step further. It's because most of the time when we are working with our experimental data, we can explain some of the behavior that we see based on our experience and based on physical phenomena that we know from our the science that we have learned.
Okay. I like that idea of the AI mindset, that you're applying that framework and thinking about right down to that idea of your research paper and can this be read by an LLM? Can this be utilized? That's great. Just a reminder for everyone in our audience that if you do have any questions as we're going through, and kudos to the people who are starting to put questions in, there is a Q&A just down below. Please do put questions in there because we will have time at the end as well. Okay, so thinking about the theme today, R&D efficiency when it comes to AI. Since adopting the Citrine platform, what kinds of efficiency gains have you seen and how have you measured them? Because I think that is something a lot of people struggle with as well.
Our value proposition is what we thought about was reducing the amount of tests. And reducing the amount of tests using sequential learning approach, obviously we see that. We can see that within the projects that we have achieved success, we are reducing the amount of tests 50 to 70%, which is what we can see. In addition to that, there are a couple of KPIs that we can follow easily. For instance, we can track the timeline of the project compared to the benchmark or how we were doing the project previously. We can track also in terms of the benchmark how many tests we were doing before, how many tests we are doing now with this new approach. So reducing the amount of tests, reducing project timeline. If we reduce the project timeline, we are also reducing budget for sure. And we can also see that within our benchmark and historical data, for instance, if we have tested 100 formulation, how many of them have been success? And now how many formulation we are testing and how many of them are actually successful. So these are KPIs that we can track easily. Other than that, for instance, the prediction of the model, things that we usually track in a data science project, we can track as well, improvement of the models and so on. And then going beyond that and actually checking how much value it brings to the business. This is a discussion that we're going to have business by business, project by project, and checking with our project leader, okay, this new experiment, this new formulation, this new setting, how you can use it and how much value it can bring you in a bigger picture.
Yeah. This is one thing that especially when we're working with new customers, we kind of always talk about of it does depend on how you think about the value. But I really like the systematic kind of approach of, okay, are we reducing tests? And if so, by how much? We're comparing it to exactly what you just said, the benchmarks, the timelines that we had previously. We're looking at the model metrics. We're looking at how things improve over time. But then we're also going to the business and we're talking to them about how does the impact of these technical wins actually, what is the impact within the business? What does this allow you to do? Are you getting to market faster? Are you defending a position in the market? What does this really enable, and how do we calculate that value? And it is a really critical part of proving that integrating AI has been important to your organization.
Yes, I agree. And I have to say that obviously the first KPIs that I mentioned that are easier to track, this is mostly for us to make sure that we are going in the right direction. But at the end, to show value to the business, we need to go and talk with the business to make sure that how much value we are creating with the approach.
Yeah. Okay. What organizational or company culture changes, shifts have been required to capture these gains?
Openness to change again. I think that's absolutely is required. So yes, and so I think we need the support of management for sure. We need the support of management, and we can see within the organization that we have the support of management. It's much easier to roll out and scale. And in addition to that, the willingness to come on this journey with us, on this journey of digital transformation. So these are absolutely required. And I'm happy to see that since we started and 1 year and a half, almost 1 year and a bit more later, the progress that we have made in that sense.
Nice. Okay. What role does AI play in scaling up discoveries from the lab to pilot and production?
Major role, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that we have our biggest asset is our data and our know-how. So that's our biggest asset. And obviously it comes, our know-how comes from the talented people that are working on different projects and the data that they are creating within different projects that they are currently doing today or even in the past. And definitely the AI is the best way to gain benefit from the data that we are creating. So I think the role is very important across going from the lab, as you said, to the production. And it's not easy, it's challenging because obviously maybe we are not ready yet and we should get ready to use this to the full potential. But yes, it's absolutely necessary.
Okay. All right.
And if I may, I would say even we can see today that using AI, we can even bring informations much easier from outside of our own environment. So we also have that. So AI is helping us to bring information much easier from scientific papers, from outside. So that's also an advantage.
Interesting. Okay. So that's kind of supplementing and adding to what you can already do.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So looking ahead, where do you see the biggest opportunities to expand AI's impact on Saint-Gobain?
R&D, because I know R&D. No, it's certainly so. As I said, our biggest asset is our knowledge and our experience. So definitely trying to have a way and benefit from that and leverage that. That's where we will. This is what will differentiate us from our competitor, using the data that we have in the best way. So, and using the knowledge that we have in the best way. So AI is actually essential in helping us to go faster and to make sure that we are using what we have in the best way. So that's definitely the where I'm looking at. And then hopefully the hope is to have have our R&D data connected later on to production and to the final product at the end and to the customer feedback.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. And kind of having almost a like a feedback loop or some sort of cycle that can influence in that way.
Yeah,
That
big
is
dreams.
very exciting to think about. It's funny because sometimes I think about an idea like that and I think, oh man, that's going to be hard to implement. But it's not as hard or as it doesn't sound as far afield as it used to me because we've done so much now. We've been able to
Absolutely.
accomplish so much and AI really is enabling so much more than we could do previously. So this does feel like a feedback loop that actually we could implement and do. It's not simple, but it is feasible. It is actually something that is possible in a way that it
Yes.
wasn't before.
Yeah, yes, I'm on the same page. I think, yes, maybe a few years ago it was like, okay, this, yeah, but too complicated, not possible. But I can see that, yes, this is not something that, yeah, why not? We can maybe get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. Ooh, that's exciting. All right. Um, if you could go back to the start of 2024, what is the most important thing that you wish you had known about scaling AI and R&D?
Good question. Yes, if I can go back, so I mentioned that we selected our first two use case using project assessment in collaboration with you, Libby. If I can go back, I will use project assessment on all the use cases that we selected at the beginning, because I think it's very important to select the right project for the approach. Obviously, here we are talking about iterative and sequential learning, and it's also very important for us the availability of the business, the engagement of the business, the value that it will bring to the business. So this will, I would be a bit, yeah, I definitely will use the project assessment way more to select the right project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I will say, I think one of the things that has enabled Saint-Gobain to be so successful is that you guys have been so rigorous in thinking about the projects that um, get support, get rolled out. So in terms of the project assessment, just for those who maybe aren't familiar, what are the key parts in your mind? What's most important there?
So technical availability or technical assessment. And when we talk about technical assessment, basically we look at the number of samples, the number of data, the number of features that we have, the target, what are we trying to achieve, what is, and the whole process. So this is, I think, in terms of technical information. And also, if maybe we have the data, it's just not easy to use it with AI. So these are the questions that I think we need to ask when we are talking about project assessment, because I think you have seen it. Data can be in PDF, can be in images, can be across 1,000 Excel files. So it's not obvious. It's not that obvious to say that, oh, we have data. Yes, we have data, but can we use it with AI? That's a different question. Then when another aspect is business readiness assessment, and what we can see that is the business has the resources to engage on the projects, because obviously we can build very fast a model, we can propose candidate very fast, but we need input, and this is the tool for the scientists. So the scientists need to use it, improve it, and play with it. So if the scientist is not available, then okay, this become a long-term project, and obviously the business doesn't see any value in it. So this is the engagement and the readiness from the business that they have resources, and it's important for them to put resources in order to start a project. And then business assessment, that I think it's more regarding that, okay, is this a study? Is this a project? What's the long-term goal? If we develop an approach, can you use this approach again and again? It's just one-time shot. Are you interested only to look explanation, or you're actually trying to optimize something? So sorry, I talked a lot.
No, that's great. So I'm hearing there's the technical availability, including the data and how readily you can access it. There's the business readiness, including the resourcing, the scientists, the willingness to actually participate in the project and do the work. And then there's the value question as well, which we've touched on. And then there's also this question of what's the long-term goal and is it scalable? Is it something I could use again? Is this model something that could be used for multiple projects, or is it just for one? And if so, what's the value for that one project? Okay,
Yes.
that's really helpful. All right. Well, Mojdeh, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I am sure our attendees have gained a lot of insight from you as I have in the time I've gotten to work with you. We still have time for questions. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to buy everyone a moment to put some more questions into the Q&A while I put up this slide. So we do have other webinars and resources and case studies and booklets on our website, so you can use this QR code to access that. And in addition, if you have a question for us that you don't want to necessarily ask in the Q&A, just reach out to us. We'll be happy to get back to you directly instead. Okay, so hopefully that's enough time for everyone to have submitted some questions, and I see some really great ones actually. How did you overcome the challenges of fragmented or semi-structured data?
Very good question. We actually, so we are working internally. We use sometimes resources or other AI tools that we have to actually go faster to bring the unstructured data together. So I think this is an advantage of having foundation and large language model accessible. So that's one way. And we are also spreading the learning that we see through all of these projects. So for instance, if we have a good template that we can share, we are sharing it internally and see that, okay, let's share this template, let's just gather our data in the same way, and sharing knowledge, I think through sharing knowledge and also using AI to bring the semi-structured data to the format that we need.
Yeah. And I will add on the theme of choosing a good partner, Citrine does have a data preparation service, and Saint-Gobain has used that at times too. And it's exactly, you summed it up so well. Sometimes your data is in a handwritten lab notebook, or it's in a series of JPEG files. And you need access to that data to successfully run a project. And those are real life examples that I have seen, and we've successfully done projects on those because we've developed this data preparation service. And Mojdeh points out really nicely that AI is moving so quickly. There's so many great tools out there that are allowing us to access that data more easily.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think there's more to come as well on
Yes.
that. Okay, next question there. How many people of your 180 users are in R&D? Are they mostly scientists? Do you have technicians using them? And this is a great question because you guys have done a good job of, I think, of balancing data science versus R&D.
Yes, so our distributed competency center, our coordinators are data scientists on different regions, and we have, I think, 5 or 6 coordinators, and maybe 8 today. I'm not sure to the exact number. And then we have R&D scientists, so as well as business scientists. So Saint-Gobain is our structure. Sometimes we are working directly with an R&D, sometimes we R&D center, sometimes we are working directly with business. So we have both R&D scientists and business scientists using the platform. We also have technicians that have access, which are helping the projects and working on the projects on the platform.
And I do see they asked, do you have people from marketing on the platform? I'm curious.
From marketing, that's the question.
Yeah.
Today actually we should include marketing team as well. I think this is our next step to actually have projects when we have a project leader, somebody from marketing as well involved in the project, and actually increase the circle of stakeholders and people involved in the projects.
Okay, one other question. How did Citrine partner with you and your team to drive AI adoption at Saint-Gobain?
I would say we have I know this is not your question, but we have a great partnership. So we have Libby, and we have the support of one Citrine data scientist and data engineer through the first year of adoption. And I think through the first projects, we used the support to learn how to actually use the tool with it, and how to go through the projects. And today our coordinators are taking that role and then doing that. We have office hours, that in office hour every twice a week, when we are asking our questions to a Citrine expert if we have any questions. We also have Teams and chat. If we have questions, we can reach out to Citrine expert and ask our questions whenever we have questions. And I personally am following the projects with Libby, so that's our collaboration.
Yeah, and I will add that the workshops that you've organized,
yes, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
really great, and I think really critical for driving adoption too on the user end. And Citrine has attended those for the most part. We've had technical people coming in and helping with that, but Saint-Gobain experts on Citrine have been also there helping train their colleagues on how to use the platform too. So it's been a really nice interchange there. And one of the things I'll add that really is, you touched on this earlier, that really drove the adoption and the excitement in the workshops was often opening with, this is one of our success cases. This is one of the value, drivers that we've gotten from this so far. And then it got people excited about, oh, I might be able to do that with my project too. So, okay. Just scrolling through. About data readiness, could you estimate how much time you spent getting the data ready for AI? Could you give an example where the efforts were limited, when the efforts were limited, and another one where extensive efforts were necessary?
Yes, absolutely. So I guess as Libby mentioned, we have used data preparation services. In one project, we have to collect data from images. So that's, I think we went through data preparation services, and I think in 1 week we had our data to be used on the platform. And so this is, I think, where we use resources. In another cases that we have data in thousands of Excel files. Obviously, they have some structure, but semi-structured. And there we used large language models to bring them to one format. The effort there was a bit higher. Obviously, we have our internal team working on that. And then sometimes the data is just there, and it's just maybe take 1 day to just bring it in the right format. And when I say 1 day, it's not that it takes 1 full day of the scientist's work. I think it's some hours during the day that it can take. And what I can see is that the first experiment to show, the first project to show how to structure the data, it's really interesting to be there and support the scientists, to give them support. And after that, it goes way much faster and way much smoother afterwards for them.
Nice. Okay. All right. Can you develop the project assessment more? So I think give more detail. Did you use Citrine only on specific projects and then roll out the software for everyone?
So today, and this is what I think we touched on, there are some projects that we are following, and I think we talk to the project leader, try to follow up on them, to follow the KPIs. Those are the projects that with the project assessment, we know that there is a value and there's an impact for the business. And this is more for internal reporting to show that, okay, what is the value that we are creating, and how we are progressing. However, we have also give access to the platform to researchers and scientists, that they are using the platform for the projects, for internal projects that they have, their daily work, and they are free to use the platform. And we are not following that through the project assessment. And yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Awesome. Okay. to reduce your experimental work by 50 to 70%, did you focus more on exploitation, or do you also conduct exploration tests? And I think this might be a current user who's referring to some of the ways you can explore different types of experiments on our platform where you're more kind of biasing in one direction or the other. And what would be the proportion of each?
In most of the cases, we are actually interested to explore because we are interested to go beyond what we have seen in the data, and so we are actually focusing on exploration. If you have used the platform, you shouldn't. I mean, you're familiar that there are three different ways that you can use with the acquisition function. So we are using likelihood of improvement most of the time in order to be try to go for exploration and go beyond what our data represents.
Great. Okay, just a few more questions. In what form does AI help you bring data from, for example, scientific papers?
So this actually, I think this is a feature that will come soon also on Citrine Platform.
Yeah.
We used, in a specific project, we have worked with data preparation services of Citrine to bring the data from scientific papers. And these are the projects that actually we are interested. This is a new field for us. We are interested to start. We have some ideas where to start, but we are interested to bring the knowledge from what has been done out there, and in order to and combine it with our experimental data to go beyond. So this is one example, and yeah, I think this is where one example where we extracted the data from PDF to be used for our project.
Great. Okay. And I'm just answering one of the questions just directly in typing. I think we're going to wrap up. I do have one last question that I think is a perfect way to do it. Did you have to change some workflows of how data is collected so that it would be ready to be fed to the Citrine platform?
In some specific use cases, yes. We have and we are working on that, and we are continuing doing that. And I would say in the other ways, I can say yes, we have changed the workflows, because by showing what is our template, how we want the data to be fed on the platform, actually our researchers and scientists are using that template to gather the data that they are collecting for other projects as well. Mm-hmm. So I would say that in several cases we can see that yes, we have changed some workflows, and instead of one specific way, we have actually changed completely the workflow that we are collecting the data.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up there. Mojdeh, thank you so much for the time and effort and insight that you've provided. I just want to thank everyone who's attended today. It's been such a pleasure to have this discussion and to have you all here. And thank you all for the great questions. These were wonderful. Really glad we got some really good time to do Q&A. So thank you so much for attending. If you do have any follow-up questions, or if you'd like to know more about how to implement AI in your organizations, please do reach out to us. We love this. I love this. Mojdeh loves this. And we're really excited to help and to advise. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for having me, and hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.